against all the evil that hell can conjure. We will send unto them only you. Rip and tear until it is done.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Satan and Coffee. It's good to see everybody. Hope y'all are doing great. Hope you're all having a great Sunday. So, yeah. Wanted to start the show out with something a little bit more hardcore, something a little bit heavier. So we had some Emmer, however you want to pronounce that. The Art is Murder, King 810, and then that last one there was Alex Terrible. This little cover of the BFG Division Doom track. Just one of my personal favorite tracks. Yeah. Fuck. Lot to talk about. Today's gonna be a long one, guys. So really hope you got your coffee. Hope you're in a comfortable spot. Ready to sit down, chill, and participate. Listen, whatever. I turn my camera just a little bit. There we go. Center myself. I'm way too close to the edge there. So lots have happened over the last couple of days. Not going to get into details of what that is, but I suppose the best way to put it is I'm done. I'm done with fucking people. Like I am done. I'm fucking done with people. And it's not even like, I mean, it's something that is unfortunately very prevalent in the occult community, sadly, despairingly so, but just humanity in general. This has nothing to do with politics. This has nothing to do with, modern events, like, recent events in the news or anything like that. But at my almost 40 years old, people have continually and faithfully shown me that most are pieces of shit. Most people are pieces of shit. Most people are incapable of keeping their word. Most people, just are fuck, man. And to, play the fiddle, to play the fiddle of, most people are inherently good is just fucking like, if you believe that most people are good or inherently good or want to do the right thing, then you live in a fantasy world. Yeah. The hypocrisy that exists inside of society is just, it's just fucking disgusting. Just absolutely fucking revolting. It really is. Of course, yes. Most people want to see other people fail to see them, make themselves feel better because they're incapable of doing anything themselves. And it's just like, I don't know, guys. Like, I don't know. I don't know how to put. I'm really good with my words, and for this particular thing, I just don't know how to put it to words. I mean, it's just isn't inherently. It's connected to what we're going to be talking about today, but I've never been one to sit here and pretend that, things are good. Like, I do believe in, it's not ideal, but it's good. And life in general, my own personal life and most of our personal lives can probably be explained that way. It's not ideal. Most things, most situations that we find ourselves in are not ideal, but overall things are good, right? So, it's just fucking ridiculous. It really is. The things I'm seeing. just the lack of humanity, that's even what you want to call it, inside of humanity is appalling. It really is. And again, this is why, I gravitate so hardly towards the left-hand path. I mean, we've heard a lot over the last 6 months or so, people talking about, being both left and right hand path, and this, that, and the next thing, and putting the left hand path, and I try to put the left hand path and the right hand path into kind of like a perspective that makes it's an oversimplification, but it makes sense. The right hand path being externalization of power, the left hand path being internalization of it. But the left hand path, the reason why we harp so much on the left hand path is because, at least I do, is because it is something that, it provides something that the right hand path simply does not. I don't forgive my enemies. I don't forgive those that harm me. I don't waste my empathy and my compassion on those that don't deserve my empathy and my compassion. I don't concern myself with trying to be someone that understands everyone. Nor will I ever. It's like I said in the last episode, Satan and Coffee. I'm not a nice person. I'm a good person. I'm just not a nice person. And I don't think I have to be. I don't think I have to be a nice person. Why should I be nice to people that I don't even fucking know, and people that probably wouldn't be nice to me, or, somebody that comes into my comment section acting like a dick, or saying something stupid? Why do I have to be nice? Why? What obligation do I have to be nice to these people? Well, I mean, I don't think you. I mean, you had. If you're talking about kind of like the little beefy situation that you had, I mean, that had nothing to do with me. If that's what you're talking about, if you're talking about something else, then be relieved that I didn't notice. So um, I'll give a little bit of information. I'm not going to give, details, because it doesn't deserve details. But somebody had made an absolutely appalling hate page about my wife on a particular social media platform. And unfortunately, see, I'm very old school, like with my parents and how I grew up. Like I'm the type of person that, like when there's a problem, I punch a problem. Like, if that makes any sense. Like, that's how I grew up. And the internet, takes that away from me, and I have to be a lot more clever in how I approach things. No, we had a, my wife knows how I am. We had an incident. So right before we came back to Mexico, we were still in England, and there was a guy. We were bringing a bunch of stuff to a dump in England, right? And there's a guy there that was making her feel uncomfortable, because like every time he would walk by and he would throw shit out, he would stand like right at the end of the car, like on the wall where like dump area was, but at right the end of the car, and just stare my wife down. And I waited and I waited and I waited, and every single time this guy went back to this dump piece, like, you know, he did the same thing. And so when I finally threw out the last bit of garbage that um, you know, I'd throw out, and I confronted him, and there was an exchange, a confrontation, and my wife knows that when I'm in a confrontation, don't get involved, don't get in the middle, just start the car and get ready to leave. That's my wife understands that. So, um, you know, that's pretty much it. It's, I'm a very principle based person. The things that were being said were, just disgusting, like absolutely disgusting. My my youngest son was mentioned in these posts, and so not to mention, there was somebody else, that I was in, kind of like a heated conversation with here in our own community, and he mentioned, my son, and then that got Dyra involved, and so Dyra said, "Don't mention my son again." And then very intentionally, he mentioned my son again, and he's no longer part of this community, no longer has the ability to comment on anything, and has been banned from the Discord server, and anywhere else that I can find his ass, he just gets banned and blocked. And so it's just, and I have to calm myself down, right? Exactly, Mothra, exactly. We must thank Joe for that statement. I so want to say it, but it's his thing, right? It's his shtick. So I'm not gonna say, I'm not gonna use that phrase. But I totally align with it. And Broke Bish Boutique. Fucking love that name. It's a great name. Don't ever change it. Good morning. You guys told me. Rock on. So it's just, and I do have to calm myself down because, I'm very technically inclined, and I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm a hacker, because I'm not. But it's not difficult to find people online, because most people share information that they probably shouldn't share. And just have to, like, kind of be like, just don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's just very bothersome. It's just very bothersome. Like, it's just the way people are, and especially like in the occult community, and especially people that consider themselves left-hand path, which is why I chose to do this topic today. Because the left-hand path saved my life. And when I say that, I don't say that lightly. Like, that is not a light-hearted statement. It literally saved my life, in so many ways, which, obviously, through the left-hand path, I suppose I saved my own life, right? But, before we get into the topic, though, I do want to do daily read. Don't want to forget that. It sucks, though. It's like, I'm going to have to remove the intro if I want to monetize this video now, because the intro used copyrighted music. So now I have to, like, after it's done processing, I have to go in and then reprocess it and remove the intro. It's really good music, too. So, yeah. So I'm really starting to like these cards, Midnight Oracle. The artwork is just outstanding. The stylization, everything is great. So what's our energy for today, everybody? So we're going to start out with the Abyssal Beast. Abyssal Beast. So today's energy, the starting out point of today's energy, is coming back into your power. Like, you know, no matter how dark and cold and lonely shit is, it's understanding that you are the beast. You are your own beast. You are your own power. Be the fucking beast and like embody the most beastly version of yourself. Don't forget who you are. Don't forget where you come from. Embody that. And I feel like this follows greatly because we have the Eternal Serpent, which comes up right here. I feel like that, you know, pulls in, and this falls right into what Mothra said. This is the idea of like when you rise, after you rise up and you embody yourself, right? It is protecting everything that you've built, everything connected to you, those that deserve your protection. You know, be the dragon, right? Embody the dragon, right? That level of protection, that fire, that balance. Because if you look at it, you see fire in the sky and water below. There's balance there. There's balance in becoming and embodying the fucking dragon. And eternal, the eternal aspect of yourself, the most powerful parts of yourself, the parts that do not die, right? To embody that. And then finally, the balancing card here, which I think this is funny, is the blood of mortality. It is to understand that you can embody your own beast. You can embody the dragon. Your power and your legacy is eternal. But never forget your own mortality. Never forget that the actions you do have weight and consequence because of the fact that you will not be here forever. So I take this card when I see this, I was just going to say that, Mothra. Right? That's exactly Memento Mori. Like, that's what I take that as. And it's still, even in death, there's still power and beauty in death. See the flowers around the skull. And at the same time, it's kind of like the blood dripping from the skull, almost like kind of like that, the last act in mortality being, you know, that beast and devouring thine enemies. Right? So that is today's energy read. So go in today being the fucking dragon. Because you know that you're not going to be here forever. And then I would say carry that through not just today, but the rest of your life. Yeah. All right, cool. So what's the topic for today? Today's topic. One second, I got a pen back here. Okay, so the topic for today is the paradox of sovereignty. And like I said, guys, today is going to be a long one. There's a lot to go over with this one. Spent a good part of last night putting this together, right? So the core thesis here is that sovereignty promises freedom, sovereignty delivers isolation, And most people want the language of power without the cost of it. The left-hand path exists inside this contradiction, and it always has. Okay? So, what sovereignty actually means, right? So, first and foremost, sovereignty versus autonomy, right? So, sovereignty is the capacity to choose and bear the outcome without external rescue. Autonomy is freedom of movement within rules set by others. Now, there's no problem with having your own autonomy. There's no, it's not inherently a negative thing, but I think people get confused or use sovereignty and autonomy interchangeably. And there's a reason why when we talk about nations, we talk about sovereign nations, right? And so a sovereign nation has the ability to make choices on their own and deal with the consequences of those choices on their own without external rescue, right? Without somebody coming in and helping them. That's the whole concept of having a sovereign nation. It's the idea of it. And then autonomy exists inside of that, where your autonomy isn't connected to your sovereignty. Your autonomy is just your ability to do what you want within a system that was created around you, which means there's inherently limitations attached to your own autonomy. So most people use the words interchangeably. That mistake alone tells you where they're stuck. Autonomy is permission-based. You act freely within boundaries someone else set. Laws, social norms, platforms, communities, belief systems. You can choose, but only from the menu you're given. Right? You can be autonomous and still dependent. So sovereignty is different. It is self-authorship under consequence. No higher appeal, no external authority to blame. If it goes wrong, it's yours. Right? If it costs you relationships, status, or safety, it still belongs to you. That's why sovereignty scares people. People are afraid of actual sovereignty, which is why so many people talk about their autonomy, right? My own personal autonomy, right? Because autonomy is safer than sovereignty, right? To consider yourself a sovereign entity is to say that you take full responsibility for everything that you do and don't do in your life. Autonomy, there's a lot less personal accountability in that, right? So you can be autonomous at work and still fired. You can be autonomous in a spiritual group and still expelled. You can be autonomous online and still deplatformed, right? Exactly. Autonomy exists until it conflicts with power. Sovereignty exists regardless of it, right? So the occult parallel with this would be like, so an initiate does not ask permission to transform. A sovereign magician does not outsource authority to gods, spirits, or crowds. Pacts are chosen, not enforced. Okay? So autonomy is movement within a system. Sovereignty is ownership of yourself, even when the system pushes back. Right? And so this is kind of like the thing where like that kind of ties into what I'm talking about with like the whole concept of just being done with people. Because I mean, I've been done with people for a very long fucking time, but you know, I have tried. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I mean, if you go back into my videos, and I'm gonna be, you know, completely honest here. I'm gonna be full on honest. I'm gonna out myself on a contradiction, right? I'm gonna be fucking Eminem and fucking 8 Mile, right? I'm gonna be fucking Eminem and 8 Mile, right? When that shit went down, and I don't want to say I'm ashamed of it because I felt like I needed to do it at the time, but you know, outward correction, right? When that shit went down with co-editing, And he was deplatformed off of everything because some motherfucker read his books, right? I followed the crowd with it. Like, I put so much thought into what was happening in that situation and the climate of things at the time. And I made a few underhanded comments that I didn't fully believe in. Because if there's one thing that I believe in freedom of speech outside of like actually calling to action for violence or some shit like that, right? Because you can't yell fire in a crowded theater if there is no fire, right? And so I made a few comments. I can't remember verbatim what they were. That's how important they were to me, you know? So, you know, but I didn't believe in those comments because I don't believe that people should be deplatformed for presenting information and talking about an idea. I think freedom of speech is like the most important value and right human beings have. And you can openly disagree with someone's opinion. That's perfectly fine. There's no problem with disagreeing. But I do not agree with him being deplatformed. I don't. I never did. I think it's bullshit. But, and that's not me kissing up or anything like that because he left a message under the JS thing. I have no, you know, illusions that I'm ever going to sit down and have a fucking conversation with EA Coetting. I wouldn't even know what to say or where to start. Like, you know, the way him and I do things is just so different. And that's not, you know, that's not a criticism. That's just a fact. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things, you know, it's just one of those things. And that was me working in autonomy, not sovereignty. That was me trying not to push back against the system in front of me. And the opening thing for me, what changes things from like when I left that post on the post section on my channel, is I'm tired of trying to cater to people that I really don't like. I'm tired of trying to make an entire community of people with such vastly different ideas and opinions, you know, all happy. Everyone has this idea of how I should be or what I should say or what I shouldn't say. And I usually do, like when somebody brings me a constructive criticism, I do take it into account. I do run it around the track. I do try to, you know, think, okay, does this person have a point? Does this person have any reasoning? You know, does this make sense? Right? Most of the time, it fucking doesn't. Most of the time, people like my content and they just want me to echo their shit. And every time, and it's happened on two sides of things. Like there's two different sides of things here. Like the whole animal sacrifice thing, like really opened my fucking eyes to how this fucking community is. And it's disgusting to me. Right? Because, you know, when I come out with, you know, a rage bait fucking video calling people to perform animal sacrifice pieces of shit with zero fucking nuance, you know, one side of people threaten canceling me, threatening this, threatening that, threatening the next thing. Right? And then I get JS on and him and I come to a mutual agreement, which was the whole fucking point. The whole point wasn't to fight him. It was to have a conversation and see his point of view and see if there is something that I could integrate. And we did. And I find that to be a successful debate and conversation. I believe the conversation with JS was highly successful. And, you know, I enjoyed it. It was a great conversation. So much so that we didn't even have to stay, you know, on that topic. We just talked about so much shit during that 2-hour period, and I would love to do it again. JS, if you're catching it, answer my fucking email, man. But you know, and so, but the thing was, is once that came out, then the people that were cheering me on when I called animal sacrifice, people that perform animal sacrifices, people pieces of shit, those same people immediately flipped, and started doing the same thing that the other side was doing. They started threatening me. They're like, oh, I have friends and, this, that, and the next thing. And I'm like, dude, I don't give a fuck about your friends. Like, I don't fucking care. Like, I really don't. Like, I've said this once before, and I'm going to say this again. I'm not scared of you, physically or metaphysically. Any of you. Any of you. Understand this. And it's not because I don't think magic works. I do. I 100% believe that magic works, and magic can be, a life-threatening thing. I 100% wholeheartedly believe that. And I'm still not afraid of you. So let that sink in. There's nothing that you're going to do to me or try to do to me that is going to put the fear of fucking God into me. Because I killed that motherfucker ages ago. So, it's just one of those things, though. It's just like I'm sitting there and I'm looking like objectively, like I stand out and I'm looking. I'm like, wait a minute, it's like, what the fuck is going on? And yeah, no, like that's why this episode exists, because I'm just like, people are so caught up in their own shit that they don't see the stupid shit that they're doing. Like, to take a point of opinion, my opinion, and take it as like a personal attack against you. Like, that is so fragile. That is so weak. That's so pathetic. That someone's personal opinion that has nothing to do with you. Nothing. As a point of contention to say, well, this person's attacking me because I believe this. That goes back to the, that goes back to the thing that says, like, when your beliefs become your identity, you fucked up. You fucked up. Like, it doesn't matter what the belief is, whether it's Christianity, whether it's your politics, whether it's the left-hand path, whether it's Satanism, whether it's demonolatry, whether it's fucking the Teletubbies, whatever the fuck it is that you believe in, once you allow that to become your identity, that is who you are, debate becomes an attack. A criticism or an opinion becomes a personal attack against you because you made a belief system your fucking identity. And it's like, do any of you motherfuckers actually have a fucking personality? Like, really? Like, it's like fucking vegans. Like, vegans, I think, are like the best example. Vegans and Christians are the two best fucking examples, right? Like, honestly, like, let's be completely honest here. The two groups of people that are the best example of this are fucking vegans and Christians. Christians have made Christianity their absolute identity. So anyone that has any criticism against the church or God or Christ or anything like that, they take it as a personal attack against them. And it's the exact same fucking thing with vegans, right? Most vegans, if you try to bring any scientific fucking, idea to them that proves otherwise, it's a personal attack against them, and then they personally attack you, right? If you eat meat, what are you? You're a murderer, right? It's like, bro, are you fucking serious? Exactly. It's this self-righteous bullshit that is just absolutely, it's just, oh my God, it's just so fucking rampant, right? Like, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to say something. I'm going to say something that's going to piss off fucking everybody, right? You know, we're not going to make this political, but I fucking hate hypocrisy, right? If you cheered when Charlie Kirk got shot and killed, but are up in arms about this bitch that got shot in the face by ICE, you're a fucking hypocrite. You're a hypocrite. Both are inexcusable and a tragedy. Both of them. Both of those situations are just fucking abhorrent and shouldn't have happened. Neither of those situations, either of those situations, they shouldn't have happened. Right? So if you're sitting there and you're one of those people that are like, well, the world is a better place without him in it. And then when this shit happens, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, you dumbass. You fucking moron. It's like, God damn it, man. And the thing is I'm using that to set a stage, right? And what's the stage? Is that everybody is fucking like this. Right? You got the right making excuses for this woman getting shot in the face. You got the left making excuses for Charlie Kirk getting shot in the neck. Fucking stop, man. Stop. Do you not see how absolutely and unequivocally fucking ridiculous every single one of you fucking are? Do you not see it? For fuck's sake. And that's what it's like with fucking everything. Everything is like so dispersed like this. It's just like, if you made excuses for Charlie Kirk getting murdered, you're a piece of shit. If you make excuses for that woman getting shot in the face, you're a piece of shit. It's that simple. You're all pieces of shit. You're welcome. You are all operating on the same level of fuckery and bullshit. All of you. And y'all motherfuckers need to take a look in the fucking mirror. You really do. You really fucking do. Right? If you cheered on Charlie Kirk when he got murdered, you have no right to say shit about that woman getting shot. And if you're cheering on that woman getting shot or you're excusing it, you have no right to defend Charlie Kirk. It's that simple. It's that simple. Tell me I'm fucking wrong, because I know I'm not. I know I'm not. I know objectively, I know I'm fucking not wrong. Look, here's the thing. Regardless of whether or not she hit him with the car, right? I saw the video. Yeah, she nicked him on the side, right? He was kind of in front of the car. He managed to get out of the way. But here's the thing. In order for him to be able to fucking get that shot off on the windshield with a speeding vehicle, that gun was already out. Why was your gun out? Why was your gun out on somebody that didn't inherently or immediately in that moment present a threat? Right? That there was no, you know what I mean? It was there was a back and forth, right? Get the license plate, arrest her later. You know? So Yeah, I mean, so I understand the whole idea of putting yourself in front of a vehicle. You put yourself in front of a vehicle so because logically you think that like somebody's not going to speed in and run you over, right? Um, so, you know, do I think that she was in the wrong for speeding up and taking off? Yeah, I do. Do I think she should have got shot in the face? I mean, we'll never know, right? It's from the cop's perspective, but you know, in order for him to pop that shot off, that gun was already drawn, right? That's my question. Like the one question that I have that nobody will answer, right? You know, is was the gun drawn already, right? And if the gun was drawn already, because in my head, logically, like I'm somebody that shoots, right? You know, if I have my gun in a holster with a clip on it, when somebody speeds up in a vehicle, like the thing is like unclipping that gun and pulling that out and then pointing it and then shooting it. I mean, he would have maybe hit the side of the truck. So the gun had to have already been drawn. And I'm sitting here thinking, why was the gun drawn on this person? Right? Because you could have, you know, let her take off, get the license plate number, and then had a whole slew of fucking, you know, charges, right? You probably could even probably could have even gotten attempted murder with like vehicular manslaughter. You know, an attempt at it. But so I think both are fucked up. I think both are fucked up. Both situations. Neither of those people should have died. I'm not excusing either death. Nor will I ever excuse either death. Yeah, I mean, I agree. The problem is there's too much division and everybody's like on either side of this shit. And then, you know, shit starts popping off. That's what we're seeing, right? You know, and, you know, it irritates me, you know, that these people, like, there's people out there talking about it. Like, you know, it's like, you know, yeah, the people that are protesting are also fucking crazy, you know? Like, it's, you know, and I also hate the misinformation. There's something that happened in Minneapolis the other day, right? I need information to confirm this, but there's a guy that got shot, I think like 7, 8, 10 times, something like that, you know? You know, the ICE was trying to, you know, arrest him or some shit. But I did hear there was one pop, and then I could have swore I heard the cop say gun, gun, gun. And then that's where all the other shots rang out. But nobody's talking about that part of it. Nobody is talking about that part of it. Right? So there are distinctly two different pops that happen in that particular situation. Right? So there is one initial pop, like from a lone gun, and then you get multiple shots coming from the ICE agents. But I don't have, you know, I can't confirm or, you know, deny that to be true because I don't know, right? But here's the thing, guys, because all y'all are still in the States, and if you're one of those people that you're going to go to a protest, that is your American and your God-given fucking American right is to protest whatever the fuck it is that you want to protest, and I want you to go protest. But don't get yourself killed, please. Don't do it. Like, don't go into a situation, you know, to be violent. And if you notice that shit starts to get unregulated, get the fuck out of there. Just go home. Just go home. You did your bit. You did your part, right? It's not worth the tears of your family. This shit. It's fucking not. I completely agree with you. We have to, you know, agree on facts, right? There has to be like a center ground, right? There has to be a middle ground. But unfortunately, over the last 10 years, somehow they have managed to completely remove the middle ground. Who's they? I don't fucking know. I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist. Like when I say they, I'm just saying like, you know, the accumulation of everything that has happened since 2016, you know, has successfully almost completely removed the middle ground, the place where we can sit and have a conversation. That's the thing, though. He didn't do shit. He's one man, and to be honest, not a very bright man. Like let's be. We want to talk about facts, right? Let's be factual. Trump is a single individual, just like Joe Biden is a single individual, and neither of them are very bright. Right? Neither of them are intelligent enough to pull off what is happening in the United States since 2016. The reaction that people had to Trump getting elected in 2016 was disproportionate to the situation. Because the thing is I lived through the Bush administration, right? And him getting elected, you know, for a second term because of some confused Jews in Florida. Right? There was a 200,000 person march in New York City against Bush winning that second term. That wasn't televised fucking anywhere. Nobody gave a shit. Nobody fucking cared. Bush was a fucking moron, and everything that, because the thing is I'm old enough to see repeating cycles, right? Everything that they're saying Trump is trying to do, they said Bush was going to try to do. They said the same things, the exact same things. Oh, he's trying to do this, he's trying to do that, because at the time we were at war with, you know, Iran and Iraq and Afghanistan, right? We were over there, we were overseas, right? You know. And everybody was saying, "Oh, he's you know," and that's guys have to remember that's when like the Patriot Act was you know enabled and stuff like that, you know, because of 9/11 and all of that shit, right? So all of that shit was like there's actual threats to, you know, our autonomy and our sovereignty as individuals in the country that took place because of those laws that were implemented because of 9/11. Right? You had the Patriot Act, the Terrorist Act, you know, all of these things, you know, were implemented, you know, during that time period. And obviously, if you look at the wording of those things, it was fucking terrifying, right? Everybody was talking about fucking the American Union and like the Amero and like, I mean, and I've got guaranteed goddamn to you, most of y'all motherfuckers don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about. But there's this big schemy fucking thing, you know, that everybody had put together this entire fucking narrative of what was going to happen because Bush was president. You know how much of that happened? Nothing. Absolutely nothing, because then Obama was president after that. Didn't happen, though. Didn't happen. So the thing is I've lived through the cycles, right? I've seen the cycles. And I've seen, you know, the shit happening. And here's the thing. I liked Obama. I thought he was a decent president. I mean, he was full of shit like most politicians, right? Like, I mean, he said that within 6 months of becoming president that he would pull out all the troops from, you know, Afghanistan and shit like that, which didn't happen. And the reason it didn't happen is because what happened under Joe Biden. When we finally did pull out all the troops, everything went to shit over there. Everything went to shit. People fucking died the same day. The same fucking day. The motherfuckers didn't even wait for us to completely get out of there. You know, so it's just like, yeah, exactly. It didn't seem like they had like half a brain, you know? And so, yeah, there were aspects, you know, to his administration that, you know, irritated the fuck out of me. But it's like, all right, you know, he's you know, He doesn't seem like a bad guy. It seems like, he's got a good head on his shoulders. Kind of knows what the fuck he's doing. Yeah, we had, a slight depression under him, the economy tanked. But, we were also just coming off of the heels of a war, right? So, a very, lengthy war. And so that's to be expected, to be completely honest. We have to figure, if I remember correctly, the Great Depression happened, after World War I. If I remember correctly. So you got all this industry that's geared up to do something, and then, it stops doing it and it has to reset. It's like everything could be logically explained. It's just a fucking person. And that's another thing that fucking irritates me about politics today. Is the thing is the politics today is it's just about, it's not about the policies. It's about the person. Who gives a fuck about the person? Look at the policies. What policies are being implemented? Right? Are they going to hurt you? Are they going to help you? Are they overall beneficial to the American people? Overall beneficial. What's important in the United States? Freedom of speech, your right to bear arms, your ability to make money, your ability to buy property, right? All of these things are the important aspects of being a human being, right? Are those things improving or getting worse? Right? That's the thing to look at. How's inflation doing? Is it harder for you to buy groceries for your house? Is it easier for you to buy groceries for your house? How much does it cost for you to fill up your car with a tank of gas? Right? Those are the fucking things that we need to be looking at. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I am that person that will sit there when it came to Israel and Palestine. Guess what? I don't care. I don't care. Right? Is it sad that there's shit happening to kids? Fuck, it's always sad. That's fucked up. But it's not my problem. It's not my war. It's not my war. It was the same thing with Ukraine and Russia. It's not my war. My stance on both of those conflicts was the same. Stop killing each other. Just in general. I'm not picking a side. I don't stand with Ukraine. I don't stand with Russia. I don't stand with Israel. I don't stand with Palestine. All y'all motherfuckers need to stop killing each other. That's it. Stop killing each other. What are you fucking gaining? Nothing. You're not gaining anything. Anyway, let's continue. I told you guys this was going to be a long one today. So I really hope you're ready for this. Okay. Ooh, okay. So autonomy exists until it conflicts with power, right? Sovereignty exists regardless of it. So again, with the occult parallels, right? So the initiate does not ask permission to transform. A sovereign magician does not outsource authority to gods or spirits or crowds, and pacts are chosen, not enforced, right? So autonomy, again, is the movement within the system. Sovereignty is the ownership of yourself, even when the system pushes back. So freedom versus self-governance, right? So people love the word freedom because it sounds like escape, but freedom without structure collapses fast. Right? So freedom is the absence of restraint. Self-governance is the ability to impose restraint on yourself without being forced. This is where most people fail, right? They want freedom from responsibility, freedom from consequence, and freedom from discipline, right? When most people say freedom, that's what the fuck they're talking about, right? What you get instead is impulse, addiction, dependency, and emotional volatility. That's what you get, right? Real power comes from self-governance, not freedom, right? So a ritual without structure becomes fantasy. Desire without regulation becomes compulsion. Expression without restraint becomes noise, right? So if you look at the psychology of it, Jung was very clear. Ego structure must exist before integration. Without a stable center, shadow work turns into projection. Self-governance is what keeps power from eating you alive. Right? So an occult framing for this would be Belial does not free you from rules. He forces you to become the rule. Lucifer does not remove structure. He reveals the cost of ignoring it. Freedom is what children want. Self-governance is what adults build. Okay? Most people mean comfort when they say power, right? So this is the lie at the center of modern spirituality. When most people say they want power, what they actually want is to never be challenged, to be affirmed constantly, and to feel safe while remaining unchanged, right? That isn't power, that's insulation. Real power does not soothe, it destabilizes, right? And so the thing is like, this goes back to kind of what I was talking about, where people want me to, you know, echo whatever the fuck it is they want me to echo, right? Like they want me, like this person I was talking about that was banned and removed and shit. You know, one of their statements that they made is like, well, this all could have been avoided if we just met in the middle. Met in the middle fucking where, man? I don't see a middle ground where I want to meet you. I don't fucking agree with you. Now, I'm willing to have a fucking conversation and talk about it, but this incessant necessity, oh, well, you have to meet me. Go fuck yourself. I don't have to meet you fucking anywhere. Anyone. I'm not targeting one person. That's fucking anyone. I don't have to fucking meet you in a middle ground. If I disagree with you, I fucking disagree with you and fucking deal with it. You don't like it, unsubscribe to my fucking channel and stop watching me. If you don't like what the fuck I say, fucking kick rocks, man. Leave. Fucking go. You get pissed because, you know, you create this entire thing and then that thing inspires a fucking video to talk about the situation. Not about you, dumbass, but about the situation. And then you get, again, you fall into the fucking, like, these people fall into their shit, right? Oh, well, you made a fucking video, blatant lies. Blatant fuck, dude, I've got screenshots of fucking everything. Yeah, I removed you from the fucking channel, but I got screenshots of the entire fucking conversation. Not one fucking lie was spoke. Because guess what, fucker? I don't lie. You know, so it's just like, you don't have to meet people on a middle ground. A debate isn't about always finding a middle ground. It's about finding either you agree to disagree or potentially finding somewhere where you can meet in the middle. And sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't meet in the middle. And that's okay. It's okay that if you're having a discussion with someone and you don't agree with them and you can't find a middle ground, guess what? Stop talking to each other or stop talking about that thing. There are plenty of people that I am friends with that I don't have a middle ground with them on certain things. Guess what? We don't fucking talk about it. There are so many other things in life that you can talk about. And this is the whole problem with making your beliefs, any belief, your fucking identity. Because then that's the only fucking thing you talk about. You don't have a fucking personality. You're a fucking robot that just keeps regurgitating shit that's fed to you. You know, and the thing is yes, I call myself a conservative. I openly call myself a conservative, not a Republican, but a conservative. And the reason why I call myself a conservative is because I'm a classic liberal. And apparently classic liberal doesn't exist anymore. Because there are things with classic liberalism that it just made fucking sense. Everybody has the right to live their lives the way they want. You can live your life however you want, and I will die to defend your right to live your life however the fuck you want to live your life, so long as it doesn't push that belief onto other people or harm anyone. And now liberalism has turned into this incessant necessity to push your beliefs down somebody else's fucking throat because they disagree with you. Like, there's these motherfuckers that are doing these things on the street, right? Where they're like, you know, they're getting into people's faces and they're screaming, Fuck ice, right? Fuck ice, right? Say fuck ice. I'm going to give you guys, like, you know my face, right? You can see my face. Okay, if I'm ever on the street and you're one of those people, for your own safety, don't do it. Because if you get in my face and you start screaming, I'm going to knock you the fuck out. Plain and fucking simple. Plain and fucking simple. If you get in my face and you start screaming at my face because you want me to regurgitate your fucking rhetoric, regardless of whether I agree or disagree, I'm going to knock you the fuck out. Like, I will leave you there on the sidewalk. That fucking simple, right? And it's just like, it's fucking insane to me to see people doing this shit. Like, this incessant necessity to force your rhetoric down somebody else's throat, right? And again, it's not because I support ICE. It's not because I do or I don't. It's the principle of the thing that you have your beliefs, and that's fine. You have the right to your beliefs. And I'm not going to try to change your mind in what you believe. You don't like something, you like something, you prefer Pepsi over Coke, right? Or Mountain Dew over Sprite, right? You know, I'm a Mountain Dew guy. I love fucking Mountain Dew. Like, that's my thing, right? Mountain Dew and Pepsi, right? But it's like, let's make it non-political. Those same fucking people screaming in your face, right? Fuck Pepsi, right? Fuck Pepsi. Say you fucking hate Pepsi. No, motherfucker, I like Pepsi. Get the fuck out of my face. Exactly. People put too much importance on their opinions. And here's the thing. Me saying that I don't give a shit about another person's opinion or something like that doesn't inherently mean that I fucking think that my opinion's fucking the end all be all. And I know it's not. But they're my opinions. I'm open to changing them with conversation, but you come screaming in my face, you are definitely going to have a meeting with the concrete. Like, you and the sidewalk are going to have a very close relationship for at least a half an hour. That's simple. And that's just to protect me, because if you come at me and you're screaming in my face like that, I don't know how far you're willing to go with what you're saying, right? You're coming at me, you know, screaming at me, aggressively, being aggressive, getting in my face, putting a camera in my face. Like, dude, I don't know how far you're willing to go with this, like how far you're willing to go to prove your point. And for my own safety, I'm going to defend myself. Because at this point, at that point right there, I consider you a threat. At the moment that you come into my face and you start yelling and screaming into my face, you become an immediate threat. And my first and only reaction to that is to neutralize that threat. That's simple, right? So anyway, so like we're saying, comfort isn't power, right? So that isn't power. That's isolation. So real power does not soothe, it destabilizes. So people claiming sovereignty while melting down over disagreement, not it. Empowerment teachings that avoid conflict at all costs, that's not power. Occult spaces that ban dissent, but call it safety. If you ban disagreement, right? And here's the thing, right? I'm sure that the person that I banned is going to sit there and say, well, he doesn't like dissenting opinions. Allow this. I'm going to make this very clear, because whoever may or may not have contact with this person. You mentioned my child twice, and the second time after it was asked that you did not. That is why you got banned. That is why you got removed. Not because of your opinion, not because you disagree with me on animal sacrifice, not because you don't like the way that I talk to people, because you mentioned my child twice. That is why you got banned. That is why you got removed from my channel. Make no fucking mistake about it. That is why you got removed. I spent 3 days going back and forth with you in comment sections. 3 fucking days going back and forth with you in comment sections. Okay? You got banned because you mentioned my kid twice. That's why you got removed. That comment that person you were defending, they're still there. Everyone else that said that I'm full of shit and I'm an asshole and this, that, because I agree with Jay, they're all still there. You're the only one that got banned. You claim your left-hand path, show it. The reason you got banned and the reason you got removed is because you mentioned my fucking kid twice. And the second time after it was specifically requested by myself and my wife not to do so. There was no other reason of why you got banned, removed, and blocked. No, I'm not going to mention who was banned. I'm not going to mention a person's name. And no, JS is not. JS is fine. But I just want to make it clear because I know him or some of his fucking buddies are probably watching this, right? So to make it fucking clear why you got fucking removed. Stop playing the fucking victim because you're not. So anyway, moving forward, right? Comfort is attractive because it feels like control without effort. But power costs relationships, exposes weakness, and forces decisions without applause, right? And this is a big thing, right? People want everyone to be happy, and it's something that I fell into, a couple years back. And it's something that I've been crawling back from for a while. And I refuse to make decisions or make content based off of what I think other people want to see. I want to make content off of what I think is relevant. And this is how this plays into or associates itself with me. Okay. It is nice to be comfortable, but the thing is if you want actual power over yourself, to express and show power over yourself, it is accepting the consequences of who you are. And make no mistake about it, for each and every one of us, there are consequences for being who we are. And if you know me, you know that when I mention consequences don't mean inherently negative. A consequence is merely a reaction to something, right? A consequence can be in your benefit or against you, right? It can go either way, okay? So there is a cost to authenticity, and through that authenticity is where you gain power in standing and defending who and what you are. Okay? So that's why people attack those who live it. It reminds them of what they avoided, right? So the occult truth here, initiation was never comfortable. Transformation has always required loss, and the left-hand path was never designed to protect your feelings. It's not, okay? The left-hand path is not designed to protect how you feel about something. It is designed to make you face the things about yourself that need to be corrected, that need to grow, okay? It's always been that way. So if your power disappears the moment you're uncomfortable, you were never powerful. You were coddled. Okay. And like also like another thing is like people, another thing that people like to throw around that irritates the fuck out of me is the word triggered. Is like the moment you show irritation with something, right? So like people will like poke the bear, poke the bear, poke the bear, poke the bear, poke the bear. And then like you finally go in to defend yourself. And then the immediate comeback is, oh, you're triggered. And it's like honestly, like I really do believe that like some people need to have the shit kicked out of them to be humbled. Like I really do. Like I really, like at least just punched in the face fucking once for saying something stupid, Damn it now. Damn it. I'm triggered now due to being uncomfortable. And it's just like, Like I grew up in that era, man. Like you say some stupid shit, you know, you're gonna see stars, man. Like unless you know how to defend yourself, like, you know, you're gonna see stars. Right. And, you know, that's how I grew up, right? Like you either learn to shut the fuck up or put up. You know, it's one of those two. Fuck around and find out. Right? FAFO. Stop triggering us. You know, and it's just like, and it's totally fucking gaslighting, right? Like, it's like you pushed, I'm defending myself and now I'm triggered. Look, I've always been brazen in my language. I swear a lot. Like, that's just how I am. Like, I like swearing, right? Like, I enjoy it. You know, it is just one of those things, you know, and I'm not going to stop doing it, you know, for anything. Like, I'm just not. You know, I'm just not going to stop doing it. It's just how I talk. Like, I mean, I grew up in the country in the Northeast of the United States, right? I am a Northeastern fucking hick. Okay. Like I am a fucking, you know, I'm a Northeastern redneck. All right. And yeah, you know, it's part of who the fuck I am. Right? They're sentence enhancers. And honestly, like there's no word in the English language, right? Like, that is more diverse than the word fuck. Like, honestly. Like, fuck is such a diverse word. Do I identify as Mexican now? No, I definitely do not identify as Mexican. I mean, the thing is I have a very weird relationship with Mexico. I've spent so much time here that there is a lot that I love about this country. There really is. But at the same time, you know, it's like, you know, moving back to the States though, that's just not realistic. I don't think, because the thing is like, I mean, I used to have a big desire to go back to the States, and don't misunderstand me. I'm proud. I am a proud American. And, you know, I am proud of the stars and stripes. I am proud of what that flag represents, regardless of how many people are going to come into my comment section and try to fight me on it, you know, because they can't do it live, apparently, because they don't have the fucking balls to. But, you know, I'm a proud American. I support, you know, like I said, I showed Garrett, show you guys again, you know, I support our law enforcement. I support our military. You know, I am a proud fucking American. Stars, stripes, fireworks, and barbecue, baby. You know, it's, you know, but you're a little disappointed now. I'm sorry. But the way things are going in the States, like, it's just, it doesn't, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, it doesn't, you know. Oh, an American, are you? Yeah, I am. I'm the same way. I'm so disappointed in America. And here's the thing. Like, when I say America, like, I mean the Americans. Like, I mean people. Like, my country is my people. Like, America doesn't exist without American citizens. You know? No, Americans changed America. Right? Like, that was all us. That was all Americans. Everybody picking a side, moving it one person to give one person that much power, like, in a statement, is just fucking ridiculous. And I think it's very anti-left-hand path. You know? Yeah, at the very least, like, you know, the thing is like, yeah, we created him, but the thing is what's happening in the United States, it's not because of him, it's because of us. And yes, I include myself into that. It's because of us. It sounds like a you problem. Yeah, definitely it is. It is an us problem. Like, unequivocally, you know, it is an us problem, you know? And I'm sorry, like, I would never go to Australia. One, I don't agree with your gun laws, and two, every piece of wildlife you have there wants to fucking kill you. Like, for fuck's sake. Like, I mean, I've done a lot of, I've got quite a few friends in New Zealand and Australia. And because of that, like, they said, hey, you should come down and stuff like that. So I've done a lot of research. I'm like, no, I am not going to get a hotel room. And yeah, I mean, put it this way. There was a buddy that I was making music with a few years ago that lived in Australia. He was doing drums on, live drums on some of the shit, that, I was making. And, we got into a conversation about huntsman spiders. And he's like, oh, no, like huntsman, there's nothing wrong with a huntsman spider. They're like pigeons. And I'm like, the fuck kind of pigeons? Like, it eats pigeons. Like, that fucking thing eats pigeons. Like, I mean, it's a spider that has the leg span of a fucking dinner plate and can go from one side of your room to the other before you can fully blink. Yeah, I get that, like, it has no desire to attack a human, but no. Fucking no, man. Oh, see, those ones can actually kill you, though. Like banana spiders, I mean, those are another name for a banana spider is a Brazilian wandering spider. Those are some of the largest and most venomous spiders on the fucking planet. You felt about Arizona, but then looking at Australia, it's like Eden. Yeah, right? So it's like, yeah, no, fuck that, man. Like, so, yeah, what it may say, okay, to be disappointed in your country, it leads to improvements coming from a northern neighbor. Yeah, I agree with that. Like, and yeah, there are many things about the United States right now that I'm disappointed in, which is why, like, I will not. Like, if you would have asked me that question 5 years ago, I would have told you, yeah, definitely want to go back to the States. But the way things are currently, like, I'm not ignorant to the fact that there's a problem in the United States. But I don't see anyone trying to find a solution to it. And because I don't see anyone trying to find a solution to it and only the problem perpetuating, that means it's only going to get worse. Right? There's too many. There's too many to point out just one. But I think the biggest one is the fact that we can't have a conversation with each other. That is the biggest problem. We are incapable of talking to each other. And because we're incapable of talking to each other, that is what's creating more problems. So until we're able to actually sit down at a table and have a conversation about what we think needs to be done, it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. And each side is starting to get more and more violent. Each side is doubling down on their beliefs. More people are making their beliefs their identity. And it's scary, man. It is scary. Because especially for me, like, the thing isn't like, and I don't say this to be an edgelord, but the thing is like, I mean, both sides fucking hate me. Right? And the reason I say both sides fucking hate me is because, like, the people in the occult community would normally, like, align with me and, agree with the stuff that I'm saying, don't like me because I identify as a conservative. And the people that are on the conservative side of things fucking hate me because I don't identify as a Christian. So, I'm double fucked. And not in the nice way. It's just, yeah, man, it's fucking sad. It's fucking sad. The constant politicalization of everything, like everything's politicized. People sitting there saying that, oh, goth is inherently political, metal is inherently political, witchcraft is inherently political. No, it's fucking not. Like, people use the word inherently without actually knowing what the fuck inherently means. Like, inherently, like, give you a fucking English lesson here. Inherently, what the definition of fucking inherently is that something from its core structure is that thing. So if something is inherently something else, that is to say that when you say goth and witchcraft are inherently political, that means by its structural design, it was created politically speaking. and they weren't. Goth came off the ass end of punk because they got tired of the politics. Goth, which is why goth focuses on the art and the fashion and the music, right? Goth is not inherently political, right? If you look at old school goth, like goth music, Depeche Mode, The Cure, Susie and the Banshees, shit like that, the music was not political. There's almost nothing to do with politics, and there might have been a few comments here and there, but you know, it was not inherently political. It was emotional. It was brought through by design to be emotionally resonate emotionally about real world shit that people dealt with day to day, right? Love and loss and beauty and things of that. Like that, you know, literature, Gothic literature is not inherently political. Like one of the you know, most like popular like goth novels, which is it's just horror, is you know, Dracula, right? And it's not about fucking politics. It's about a goddamn vampire, for fuck's sake, you know? And, you know, you look at fucking Lestat and like all of that shit, right? You know, the fucking Anne Rice stuff. Like, you know, it's not political. It's not. Stop making it political. You can politicize it, but it isn't inherently fucking political. Stop using inherently because you don't know what the fuck it means. You sound like a goddamn idiot when you sit there and you say, like, oh, this is inherently this. It's like, are you fucking serious right now? Really? Like, I have never seen so many fucking morons like consistently in my life as I have while being online, right? Yes, of course they do. I mean, that's the real Illuminati, isn't it? You know, but yeah, I mean, goth is art, it's music, it's literature, it's fashion, it's, you know, it's everything beautiful and amazing, you know, in life. It really is, and I love calling myself a goth. You know, and people try to, you know, gatekeep, you know, alternative culture and saying, well, if you're a conservative, you can't be alternative. And it's like, shut the fuck up. Right? It's like half of these people, like I look at them and like I hear that meme of like, I don't want to celebrate my birthday anymore. You know? And it's just like, you know, so do I. That's why I married one. You know, like, I mean, I can't complain. I mean, here, I'll even, like, look, check this out. Check this out. I have to cover up his face, though. Like, look, like, right there. Right. That's my wife. That's my wife. Hmm. Oh, yes, she is. Yes, she is. Like, the most beautiful. Exactly. Well, the thing is one of the things I always tell her is like, you know, like I love the way you look and I love you physically. I love your physicality, but that's not what I love. That's not why I love you. Right? Because that's going to fade, right? When you're 60, 70 years old, I'm going to look at you and see the same woman that I see today. Because what I see is your mind and your spirit and your heart. So, doesn't mean I can't enjoy what you got while you got it. But my love for you is not inherently connected to the physicality of you. It's an aspect I appreciate, but that's not why I love you. She is one of the most intelligent fucking occultists that I have ever met. She has been an occultist half the time I have and probably knows double what I know. You know, And I appreciate that woman's sense, her ideas, her concepts. She's a brilliant businesswoman. Like, I mean, yeah, I mean, there's no end to the amount of compliments that I could give my wife. Well, there you go. Rock on. Rock on. Yeah, both of us had some fun this morning because somebody sent her a fucking DM on Instagram. They're like, "Are you seeing anybody?" It's like, bro, really? Like, you really have not been paying attention, or you have not been following her very long if you're asking that question. So, like, we have a rule. We have a rule, right? So, and I know a lot of people disagree with this, but we have very traditional boundaries in our relationship, in the sense that I don't have female friends. She does not have male friends. Doesn't mean we can't work with the opposite sex, but work isn't having a friendship or a relationship or something like that. Because unfortunately, let's be completely honest, men have one thing that they want when they're speaking to a beautiful woman. I have yet to meet a man that has a friendship with a woman that he doesn't want to fucking sleep with. Plain and simple, right? And it's a back and forth. And if somebody happens to send us a message, either of us, that is inappropriate, we immediately tell the other. Exactly. So, you know, and, you know, she has access to my shit. I have access to her shit. It goes back and forth. We don't hide anything. She's on my Face ID. I'm on her Face ID. She wants to pick up my phone and go through it. Go for it. I ain't got nothing to hide. And, you know, like, I mean, I'll tell her, like, somebody sends me a message, hey, like, and I'm cooking dinner, like, hey, who is that? What are they saying? Hey, can you say this? You know, like, I don't care. You know, doesn't fucking bother me. Doesn't matter to me. And we have nothing to hide from each other. You know, so it's just in case if somebody thinks they're gonna be slick and slide in her DMs, I promise you I'll see it. 99% of the time I'm the one answering, because she doesn't want to deal with it. She's like, here, you answer. She just gives me her phone. She's like, respond to this person. Like, if it's something worth responding to, which we did respond to that one this morning, because it was just, we just thought it was fucking hilarious, because she's all over my shit. I'm all over her shit, you know? And like, we're just kind of like, bro, like, really? Did you just like see a random reel or something and just like decide to fucking, you know what I mean? Without doing any research whatsoever, you know? Now I know how to get your attention. I don't think you want that kind of attention. You know, but yeah, you know, yeah, I mean, it's a very healthy relationship. And even like when we have like arguments and stuff like that, we sit down and we talk. Like, I mean, obviously there's that initial point where like we argue with each other, and then we usually about 30 seconds later where we're having a conversation. Like, so like, and the thing is like, you know, if I say something and it upsets her, like I'll sit down and I'll be like, hey, so what did I say specifically that upset you, and how would you like me to do that better? Like, what would be a better way for me to approach this? If what I said upset you, and, you know, we just have that conversation, you know, we talk about it, you know, and she tells me how she feels, why she feels that way. And then, you know, I'm like, okay, then I'll work on that aspect of it and, you know, become better, and, you know, vice versa. Like, you know, sometimes that conversation's reversed. Sometimes it's her that says something that pisses me off. And, you know, she asked me, it's like, okay, what did I say specifically that upset you? And it's like, well, it's this, that, or the next thing. And, you know, and yeah, that's great. And I think another thing, like with the political shit, is her and I are practically on the same page about fucking everything. And I think that that's the only thing that matters, like politically. Like, I mean, I do think that like you do have to have some type of like, you know, alignment politically when you're in a relationship with someone. And the thing is I think the only thing that really matters, the only person in your life that should probably agree with you politically is your spouse. Right? And doesn't mean you have to agree on everything, but you should have like a very good base, right? Your political views, you as leader, well, rock on. Rock on. Find somebody that supports that, and I promise you that they will push your ass till you're actually there. So anyway, let's continue. Like I said, this is going to be a long one. We're almost 2 hours in, and we're not even halfway done, guys. So I hope you guys got time. All right. So, so the first paradox, okay? To know the other person's opinion. They wanted the issue handled in the most upsetting way possible. But that can be minimized. Completely agree with you. Completely agree with you, Pong. Completely agree with you. So the first paradox is what freedom requires restriction, which sounds like an oxymoron, but we're going to get into it, okay? So first and foremost, discipline as the price of agency, right? So agency is not something you declare. It's something you earn and maintain. Discipline is the mechanism that turns intention into authority, right? So without discipline, desire stays hypothetical, right? Will collapses under stress, and choice becomes reaction. So people confuse discipline with oppression because most of their experience with it was imposed from the outside. Parents, institutions, religion, systems that used control without consent. But self-chosen discipline is not oppression. It is the infrastructure of agency. A magician who cannot maintain daily practice does not lack belief, they lack agency. A person who follows intuition but cannot say no is being dragged by impulse. A life ruled by mood is not free, it is reactive, right? Ritual precision is discipline, not superstition. Invocation without preparation is theater, and will is trained, not wished into existence. Discipline is not the opposite of freedom. It is the cost of being able to choose at all. Okay, so why unstructured freedom creates dependency? Unstructured freedom sounds liberating until you watch what it produces, right? It produces indecision, anxiety, addiction, externalization. When there are no internal rules, people start searching for external containment. Gurus, movements, ideologies, communities that tell them what to think and how to behave. They trade freedom for relief, right? So I just go with the flow, turning into chronic avoidance, right? Or anti-structure spirituality that collapses into cult dynamics. People rejecting discipline while being enslaved by habits, substances, or validation, right? And the psychological aspects of this is the nervous system seeks boundaries. Without structure, stress increases. Dependency is the body asking for containment, right? So chaos magic, misunderstood as chaos living, or raw current without vessel destroys the practitioner. Power without form leaks, right? So when you refuse to govern yourself, something else will volunteer. Now, how do boundaries generate power? Boundaries are not limitations. They are concentration mechanisms. Power requires focus. Focus requires limits, right? A river without banks becomes a flood. Energy without direction dissipates. Desire without boundary becomes obsession, okay? So personal boundaries be like saying no preserves will. Limiting access preserves clarity. Withdrawal is sometimes an act of power, not fear, right? So occult application, right? And for all of this, circles are boundaries for a reason, right? So we create a boundary to not let things out or let other things in. Limiting access preserves, names constrain forces. So like when we use in ritual, when we use like Belial, Lucifer, things like that, right? The names constrain the force, right? So the force, the applied intention is constrained further when using a demonic entity or any entity to focus will and intention. Timing matters because power obeys conditions, right? So modern failures for this is people remove boundaries and call it openness, then wonder why they're drained, confused, and reactive. Boundaries don't weaken power. They shape it into something usable. So power does not come from expansion alone. It comes from containment. Okay? So some actual like real world examples of how this shit works. So martial arts, freedom of movement comes from rigid form. Magical ritual, precision over chaos. And psychological development, ego structure precedes transcendence, right? Luciferian illumination requires containment. And again, Belial does not remove structure. He demands responsibility. The Jungian ego, right? Strength as prerequisite for shadow integration. Collapse occurs when structure is skipped, right? So freedom without discipline is just impulse wearing a crown. The second paradox, sovereignty creates isolation. Okay? So why independent thinkers lose social safety nets? Social safety nets are conditional. They always have been. Belonging is traded for alignment. Agreement buys protection, and silence buys tolerance. The moment you stop reflecting the values of the group back to itself, the net loosens. So you question the dominant narrative, and suddenly you're unsafe. You refuse a slogan, and you're labeled suspect. You don't perform outrage on cue, and support evaporates. This isn't cruelty, it's social mechanics. Groups protect cohesion, not truth. Right? So if you look at this in the occult, the initiate leaves the village, the magician steps outside the circle of consensus, and knowledge costs shelter. Belonging is rented, sovereignty is owned. So how people punish non-alignment. Crowds do not argue, they correct, right? So correction looks like shaming, dogpiling, moral framing, silence as exclusion. Crowds punish deviation not because it's wrong, but because it destabilizes shared identity. So online pile-ons framed as justice, tone policing replacing substance, accusations without engagement, right? Humanize the enemy, be dehumanized by your community, 100%. So psychologically, crowds offload responsibility. No one owns the harm because everyone agrees. This creates moral distance and escalates cruelty, right? And in the occult, mobs have always burned heretics. The method changes, the impulse doesn't. Fear of contamination drives enforcement. So a crowd doesn't need truth, it needs agreement. And a lot of the things that we're talking about today is explaining why I'm deciding to make a change to the channel in terms of like the type of content that I'm going to be producing. I am going to be going a more educational route with it starting now, because the thing is I keep talking about the stuff that I disagree with, and without putting anything out there that can actually combat it. And so one of the first things that's going to be created is both Dyra and I are going to work together, and we're going to create a free course on here on YouTube. That this course will basically be focused on what we believe the left-hand path to be. So it's more of a philosophical course rather than a spiritual one, but there is obviously going to be, demonology tied into it, right? And some spiritualism tied into it as well. But for the most part, we kind of want to go over and talk about the left-hand path and create kind of like a baseline course for what the left-hand path is and how to get into it, right? Philosophically speaking. So it's just going to be a 10 video course. So it's probably going to be about 2 hours long, because each video is roughly going to be between 20 to 30 minutes. So keep a lookout for that. It'll be on here. It'll be on this channel. So YouTube has a thing where you can create courses, And so it's not going to get behind a paywall or anything like that. But it is also kind of like the beginning point, the jump point for Dyra and I. We have wanted to create a kind of like an academy for the last couple of years. And, you know, it's a big undertaking because of the way that we want to do it, right? We're looking to standardize information and, you know, put it into a format that's digestible and actually allows people to learn, like not to tell people that you have to do things this way, but rather it's more like the history of things and how things have worked. So people are informed on, you know, the evolution of the occult since like the 60s essentially and before that. And then people can go through this course and look at things and be like, okay, you can make an educated decision in how you want to practice, right? The endless question Hegel saw. Are you going to support the thesis, the antithesis, or the synthesis? I have no idea. That's a good question, but I don't know. Because someone's thesis could be could be the antithesis for somebody else. So here. So the loneliness of not outsourcing moral authority. When you stop outsourcing moral authority, something shifts. There is no final authority to appeal to, no rule book to hide behind, no movement to absorb responsibility. Every decision becomes yours. That isolation is not a flaw, it's the cost. And that's kind of like the point that I'm kind of falling into here, is because I don't have a base to say that I agree wholehearted with any one community. And because of that, I feel like I'm kind of like the last person to actually practice critical thinking. At least I'm the last person that I think I know that practices critical thinking, that I do look at every aspect of something and I make my own decision, you know, based on that. You know, I don't follow a trend. I don't follow ideas of something. I just, you know, look at the situation and decide what it is that I believe. And I usually get shit from that from both sides, because what I believe doesn't fall on one side or the other. It's usually somewhere in the middle. And that causes a lot of conflict with people. Like, a lot of people don't like that. You know, so some examples would be like kind of making choices that alienate people who care about, that you care about, standing by a decision even when it costs status, being misunderstood without correcting the record, right? Which happens often with me. You know, the left-hand path does not offer moral cover. There is no cosmic referee, and results replace righteousness in the left-hand path. You know, that's one of the things that I wholeheartedly believe in when it comes to the left-hand path, because me being a good person isn't being a good person because someone else tells me that that's what being a good person is. You know, it reminds me, I think it's The Office or something like that. You know, there was this thing, one of the guys in there, he's an atheist, and this girl's talking to him and she's a Christian. And, you know, she's like, you know, if you don't believe in God, then, you know, why don't you just go out and, you know, rape and pillage and do all of this, you know, do whatever you want. And he's like, well, I do rape and pillage and do whatever I want, which is absolutely zero. You know, I don't need a moral authority to, you know, tell me how to be moral. You know, it's understanding that, you know, these things cause pain. And I don't want to cause pain. You know, and that's what the left-hand path kind of insinuates and, focuses on is that accountability, is that, yeah, I could go out and I could do horrible fucking things. I don't, not because God or Jesus or some book tells me that I can't. I do it. I don't because I don't want to. I mean, it's that simple. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's just kind of how I look at it, right? And the psychological weight of this is, unshared responsibility is heavy. Like when you take the responsibility yourself, that's not an easy thing to do. And many retreat back to ideology just to feel held. So if you need permission to act, you're not sovereign. You're supervised. The next part here is the third paradox. Power attracts projection. So why sovereign figures become lightning rods? So sovereign figures don't chase attention. They attract it. Not because they are louder, but because they refuse to mirror the group. When someone stands without asking permission, it creates tension, not hostility at first. Awareness, then comparison, then threat. So a person who speaks plainly without apologizing, someone who refuses to perform guilt or outrage, a practitioner who doesn't outsource authority or a trend. The presence forces a question in others. If they can stand there without permission, why can't I? And most don't want to answer that, right? So in the occult, the magician disrupts equilibrium. The heretic reveals cracks in doctrine. The initiate becomes a living question. So power doesn't provoke attack. Comparison does. Projection is a psychological offloading. So projection is not disagreement, it's avoidance. When people encounter someone who embodies what they've refused, the psyche looks for a way out. Projection is the escape hatch. So they assign malice instead of difference, corruption instead of autonomy, and harm instead of discomfort. This lets them keep their self-image intact without changing anything. So calling someone dangerous without evidence, framing disagreement as abuse, and turning personal discomfort into moral language. Projection transfers inner conflict outward. It preserves identity at the cost of truth, and it feels righteous because it avoids introspection. Demons blamed for impulses humans refuse to own, and spirits accused of corruption rather than acknowledged as mirrors. This is where we get the fact that, the devil made me do it type of thing, right? Projection isn't about who you are. It's about why they can't carry, right? Or about what they can't carry. Moral panic as displaced self-conflict, right? So moral panic is projection with an audience. It turns private anxiety into public accusation. Instead of asking, why does this disturb me? The question becomes, who can I blame for this feeling? Right? So calls for removal instead of conversation, alarmist language without clear harm, virtue before performed through punishment. Right? The social function of this is panic bonds groups. Fear creates cohesion, and targeting restores a sense of control. Why do you think after 9/11, the United States, every fucking news cycle just repeated, the word terrorist like 10,000 times per fucking broadcast? Because we have never been so united as we were when there was an enemy image for all of us to hate. Once that fell away, we displaced again, right? It happened in World War II. It happened with 9/11, and people want that cohesion, right? So when people want that cohesion, groups will find something to hate, The interesting thing with, the modern left for me, though, is the volley back and forth between wanting big government and not wanting big government. Right? Like when it's something that they support, oh, well, you need the government to tell people and force people to do this. And then once it's with something that they disagree with, then they need to dismantle the government. And it's such a fucking oxymoron, because it's like, you ever hear the phrase, right? Like, they're coming for you. They're coming for them today. They'll come for you tomorrow. Right? I mean, that's what happens with big government. When government overreaches and government has too much power, that's what happens. That is the inevitable outcome of big government, is the fact that it goes for one group one day and it will inevitably come for you in the future. Inevitably. There's no way around it. And it's interesting to me that people seem to forget that. And the funny thing is, like, if you look at COVID and you look at, all the rules and things that were implemented during COVID that the left absolutely adored and fought for and defended, they were implemented under the Trump administration. I mean, COVID was damn near fucking just, a memory by the time Biden became president. And so it's just, I don't know, it's just entertaining to me, to watch all of that unfold and watch the hypocrisy. It was just, I don't know. I find that fucking hilarious. I really do. So, the occult crossover for this is like, witch hunts were never about witches. They weren't, heresy trials were never about doctrine, and panic always protects the fragile center. That's what it's all about. And in modern form, right, cancellation as purification ritual, public shaming as moral theater, and silence demanded as proof of virtue. Right? So moral panic is what happens when people refuse to confront themselves, right? Sovereign figures don't create chaos, they reveal it. They don't corrupt communities, they expose unresolved fractures. That's why they draw the lightning, right? Not because they are evil, but because they stand where others would rather not look. If someone needs you gone to feel stable, the instability wasn't yours, right? Sovereignty doesn't seek enemies. It reveals where fear already lived, right? And, projection, it replaces self-examination, and anger emerges where integration failed, right? So, demons are blamed, for human impulse, magicians accused of corruption by those who fear desire, heresy as a social control mechanism, online dogpiling framed as justice, accusation without dialogue, and tone policing as moral theater, right? So people don't attack power, they attack what power forces them to confront, right? Fuzzball is the devil. Okay, cool. And so now we're kind of like in the fourth and final paradox of sovereignty, right? Sovereignty demands accountability. No external authority to blame, right? So sovereignty removes your favorite escape route. There is no system to point at, no doctrine to hide behind, no authority to absorb responsibility when things go wrong. If you choose it, you own it fully, right? So a ritual fails, you don't blame the spirit, you examine your preparation, right? A decision costs you relationships. You don't blame society, you chose the cost, right? You speak a truth and face consequences. You don't call it persecution, you weigh whether it was worth it. This is why most people prefer hierarchy. Hierarchy offers insulation, right? Someone above you to blame, someone below you to sacrifice, right? So, demons don't carry your mistakes, gods don't absolve you, and pacts aren't contracts. Pacts are contracts, not excuses, right? If you need someone else to carry the blame, you're not sovereign, right? Oh, not fuzz, foosball. Foosball. Foosball is the devil. Yeah, I fucking love that movie. No savior narratives, right? In sovereignty. Sovereignty destroys the fantasy of rescue. No awakening moment fixes you. No teacher completes you. No initiation replaces effort, right? Savior narratives feel good because they promise transformation without labor, redemption without accountability, and power without discipline. They keep people waiting inside of working, right? So examples: chasing gurus instead of building practice, waiting for the right time to begin, believing suffering automatically produces wisdom. For the occult, initiation is not bestowed, it is survived, right? Teachers point, they do not carry. Knowledge without embodiment is trivia. And psychologically speaking, dependence masquerades as devotion. Admiration replaces responsibility. If someone else has to save you, you have already surrendered your agency, right? And no ideological shelter, right? Ideology is a refuge for people who don't want to decide. It offers pre-approved answers, shared guilt, collective absolution. Sovereignty removes that shelter, right? You don't get to say, I was just following doctrine, right? That's what my path teaches. Everyone I know agrees, right? Every choice becomes personal. This is like, this also removes the whole I was just following orders thing, right? Right? It works both ways, everyone. It works both ways. Okay? So an example, right? So making ethical decisions without consensus, right? Acting without knowing you'll be supported. Standing by outcomes you didn't intend but caused. In the occult framing here, the left-hand path is not a belief system, right? It is a responsibility system. Symbols are tools, not shields, right? There's my mother-in-law. Pretty much. You are your own savior, so get your ass a moving. Pretty much. So, and then modern failure, right? So people use labels to avoid thought. They weaponize ideology to escape consequence. So beliefs don't make you sovereign, decisions do, right? And so why the occult community struggles with sovereignty, right? So overall, right? So here's the last part here, right? So why does the occult community struggle with sovereignty so much? Well, first and foremost, trauma masquerading as rebellion, right? So pain does not automatically produce insight. Unprocessed trauma often dresses itself up as defiance because rebellion feels powerful when agency is missing, right? So hostility framed as authenticity, emotional volatility mistaken for passion, and refusal of structure justified as freedom. This isn't rebellion, it's dysregulation with better vocabulary. And psychologically speaking, trauma fragments agency. Without integration, identity hardens into around injury, and reaction replaces choice, right? In the occult, chaos mistaken for current, possession mistaken for initiation, and wounds mistaken for sigils. So true rebellion requires clarity. Trauma erodes it. If your rebellion collapses without an enemy, it was never rebellion. It was pain looking for a target. Spiritual language used to avoid responsibility. Spiritual language is a perfect hiding place, right? It sounds profound. It feels justified. It deflects accountability, right? That's just my path, used to excuse harm. Energy doesn't align, replacing direct communication. And the universe wanted this, used as to dodge choice. I love that one. I've heard that one so much, right? And so this turns spirituality into anesthesia. So, magic magnifies responsibility. At least it should. It should always magnify responsibility. Your rituals should increase consequence, right? And words bind when they are spoken with intent. Language is not neutral. Symbols are not excuses. When spiritual language replaces ownership, it becomes manipulation. So if your spirituality excuses your behavior, it isn't spirituality, it's camouflage. Right? So I feel like that this is why the occult community has such a problem with sovereignty and likes to talk about it so much. Yeah. Guys, we've been doing this for almost 2.5 hours now. And I'm beat. I'm beat. Hopefully you guys got something out of this. So there will be more educational content coming. Dyer and I are actively working on a left-hand path course, which is completely free, right? It's going to be completely free. It's going to, like I said, 10 videos, probably about 2 to 3 hours worth of content for completely free. For you guys to kind of get our perspective on what the left-hand path is. And it's not to sit there and tell you that this is the end all be all of what the left-hand path is, but hopefully to help you guys find a direction, you know what I mean, to look at, and work through, right? So with that being said, that's going to be it for today. And as always, hell thy fucking self. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace the fuck out.